Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Palm Blisters. This is episode what, eight, nine?
Episode
I
eight.
believe eight. Yeah.
Eight. Wow. Today we thought it would be a good idea to talk about soundtracks, which I'm a big fan of. So, like, one of my favorite things about video games is like the music.
So, and speaking of sound, you might notice we're using different mics. That's because the last two sessions, something was off with the audio. We're having an issue with equipment, so we're using a substitute this week.
It's
Yeah.
true.
You were saying?
Hopefully these sound all right.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. But no, yeah, but I love. There's so many games I could think of like when it comes to mind like with like soundtracks like and a big one. I think we talked about this in like a previous episode. Like I feel like Nintendo is
Yeah.
just like renowned like, for their
Yeah.
games. Like I feel like they are just renowned for like having good soundtracks. Like
Yeah.
games that come to mind like are like Mario Galaxy or just like even like Mario Wonder that just came out. There's, like
I know we already talked a lot about Mario Galaxy soundtracks and
There's a Kingdom. I've been listening to that soundtrack
yeah.
a lot lately.
Oh yeah, that's a great
You
soundtrack.
know what's funny, actually? Well, I was saying a bit before we started the podcast. I actually have a playlist on Spotify of like
Yeah.
games that like just like are fit like they have like just great soundtracks and like some I have listed here like Minecraft, Super Mario 64,
hmm
um, Undertale, Terraria.
I remember the Mario Bros. Movie, a lot of the music from the games actually made it into the soundtrack, which was really cool to see, like,
Yeah.
these
Yes.
different renditions.
That was awesome.
What sucks is, a lot of those weird needle drops, like when they get to the Donkey Kong place and they say play Take On Me.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
weren't supposed to play Take On Me. The composer did like this rendition of like the Donkey Kong country music that was
Uh-huh.
like synced up with the scene. And it's like if you watch it with that played, it fits way better than just this random 80s song.
Huh. That's funny.
Justin, do you want to just move that so it's out of the shot? Awesome. Yeah, I just noticed that now. So
Um, but yeah, like Nintendo, obviously, like they like I feel like they never miss with their soundtracks.
oh yeah.
Um,
Even Mario Kart, which we talked a lot
Oh
about
yeah,
already. Yeah.
oh, it's just such an iconic one.
Yeah.
it is.
Gotta love it.
It's like literally like every time I play Mario Kart, like I have to turn up the TV. I'm like,
Oh no,
coconut
same
balls
here.
on.
Yeah.
It's like I want to groove out while I'm killing everyone in this race.
It's funny. I'll annoy my friends sometimes because I have like full on like surround sound system,
Yeah,
and we'll play the Wii on that TV with the
yeah.
surround sound, and I just crank it up
Oh,
like so much.
no, you have to. Like it's like
And
like
even after the race is done, or like after the cup is done, I'll just leave it on and just
yeah.
like listen to the Mario Kart music.
It's like an unwritten rule to crank
I
a
remember,
coconut ball.
Yeah.
I had Kid Icarus Uprising on my 3DS, and I remember it used to be that I didn't have like an iPod or anything, but you could like go into the extras menu and listen to just the tracks in the game.
Mhm.
So I'll just put it in my headphones and play one of my favorite songs from the game and just sit there and listen to it,
Yeah.
enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking about is honestly, I don't know, you guys might have a different opinion, but me personally, I feel like indie games specifically have better soundtracks than like AAA games, like
Yeah,
the
no.
Yeah.
AAA games.
That was actually just before we recorded today. Have you guys played Pizza Tower?
I
No.
have not.
Oh my
What,
god.
what's that?
It's like a throwback like 2D game where it's all hand-drawn graphics, like very cartoony in style.
Mhm.
It's inspired by a lot of Wario games, like Wario Land 4.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
So like you're just this pizza chef, or I guess some giant tower opens up across from your restaurant that it's like a competing place, so you're basically going in to try and destroy it.
Oh, okay. Huh. That sounds
But
like
it's got a very, very fun soundtrack.
yeah.
I guess very funky, like a lot of different tunes to it. Like there's a western level, castle level,
Yeah, yeah.
all with
Yeah.
different themes that are all really wacky, bouncy sort of soundtrack.
hmm Um,
Oh, that sounds cool.
well, what comes to mind from it, like for like at least like indie game, and has been mentioned many times on this podcast is Hollow Knight.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like it's like a very like dark kind of soundtrack. I don't know what it is. It's just like this like eerie kind of music. Like it's
My
like
favorite soundtrack is when you get to like the ruins of the city and there's this sort of
yes.
hmm
mystical, like not like it's not exactly I don't know, it's like I I suck at coming up with the right words,
hmm
but it's like this was a nice place once. Like you can sort of get the
Yes.
sense that
But
some spirit of this place is still here. Like this is a holy
yeah, and it adds like the whole like emotional ties to the game because like the game like you're like it's a very dark kind of game and like you could tell that, like you were saying, like you're like, yeah, something once was here, like there was greatness here at one point, and now it's just like a dreary kind of like city or like town. Um, but yeah, it adds to like the whole, I don't know, I was gonna say theme of the game, but more so trying to think of the word, I can't think of it. But yeah, it really just enhances like the whole aspect of the game. Which I really enjoy. And many other games do that too. Like I know you were saying like Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
Um
It the soundtrack in that and those two games is amazing in my opinion. It like just really adds to the atmosphere,
yeah,
adds to the like the darkness and kind of like even some of the like the love aspects and the more lighthearted scenes, especially in the first game.
right.
Like for instance, when Ellie comes across the giraffes and it plays like this like really beautiful,
Hmm.
almost like orchestral score. I think the soundtrack in that was really well done, and that's done by his name Gustavo Santaolalla. I'm probably butchering that name, but yeah,
Yeah.
he composes some great music.
No, yeah.
And what's cool about the second Last of Us is I believe you could actually get the soundtrack on vinyl for that game.
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
If
actually
I think if you bought like the not the deluxe edition, but like the director's cut, I think it
Mhm.
was, you got like the steel case game and then you got like soundtrack and a couple other things.
I like
That's
that.
cool.
That's actually
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, no, I know a few games that actually like release their, like soundtrack like on vinyl, which is really cool because
Yeah.
like I'm a vinyl collector myself. I haven't collected any like video games, like any video game vinyls yet. I
Yeah.
want to. But yeah, no, that's actually really cool. Especially that they add like the, little like bonus stuff to it
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
You know.
Have you guys ever played the Sly Cooper games?
I had
Yeah.
like years and
Oh
years
yeah,
ago, but yeah.
when I was very young.
I love those. They have a very sort of jazzy kind of feel to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're it's the same guy who also composed the Psychonauts games. If you ever played any of those,
I've seen them, I
I've
haven't played
never
them
played them
myself.
either. Yeah.
Yeah.
but Sly Cooper's like it's got a sort of pulpy feel to that. So the
Mhm.
jazzy soundtrack really adds to a lot of the theming.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh, I mean, it's like even when they're in like different levels, like they do the stereotypical China level, but then they mix in some like brass instrumentation
Mhm.
with like
Right.
the motifs from like some of the main themes in the main theme music of the game.
Right. Um,
That kind of connects all of it.
I remember I think we talked about it like a few episodes ago. What's that one game? It's the most recent game that won like best soundtrack or best music. Was it Hi-Fi Rush or the
Yeah, if I
Yeah.
Oh
right.
yeah.
that like so I mean you would know more than I do about because like I've only seen like clips of the game, but like it's a game where it's literally
Yeah,
you're fighting around the music, right?
yeah, like
Like
you
Mhm.
the beat of the drum is like where you want to hit the buttons on to get the best like do the best damage,
yeah.
Yeah.
get the best kind of combos, best score.
I like that. And it's like it's all like original music too. It's not like music like you know.
No, they actually have a bit of licensed music, but
Oh, really?
well, there's like two versions of the game soundtrack. One is the licensed music, which I think they planned more for, but then there's also the streaming mode where they wrote more original songs, which I've heard are also really good.
Mm, okay. Yeah,
You
no,
know, like if you're a Twitch streamer, you can't be playing like Nine Inch Nails, which is in the soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, games like that are cool. I saw this other one too. I forget what it's called, but I think it's like a dungeon crawler where, but like it's like guns and you shoot to like the beat of the music.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
I
that's pretty
forget
neat.
what it's called, but like each gun has its own like I don't know, I guess like stats or whatever, and has its own beat. And the only way it'll work is if you shoot to the beat,
cool.
which is really cool. I don't know what it's called though, but I've seen gameplay of it. But yeah, games like those are very interesting because it's like it's almost like you're playing like a game like Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Oh
But,
yeah.
like there's more to it, like
I
you're
mean,
more
yeah,
action. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a really neat take on like incorporating like music to the big, to the gameplay, making it's literally the gameplay, which you don't see too much, but games like that are coming out now and they're very entertaining. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And we were talking a little bit about games releasing vinyls for their soundtracks.
Yeah.
One game that I love that did that was Life is Strange.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like super cool indie rock music in that
Mhm.
game that really adds to kind of like the overall vibe, really. You play as this like teenager who has these like powers to like go back in time and stuff. And it's just like the indie vibe is really there for
Yeah,
the music. It adds a lot.
Another game, an indie game I really like is Hypnospace Outlaw.
Oh yeah.
All right, on that.
It's like this game. It's sort of a simulator of the '90s internet where you're like a moderator on a program similar to like Neo Cities, where you get to browse a bunch of people's web pages, like discover more about the characters as you explore them, find out their relationships.
Mhm.
But a lot of the web pages have music playing to them, and it's all like really fun music, like kind of cheesy, purposefully cheesy.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hear of like the musician like on YouTube, Hot Dad?
Hot Dad.
That I don't think I
I'm
have.
gonna have to look that
Did you ever
up.
see that did you ever see that music video where it's just like a Facebook thread, like I really, really, really like this image? Do you not know that?
No, I don't think so.
And this one guy, basically, he's like a YouTube musician, and he basically part of the soundtrack is just like 12 songs written by him. So he basically got contracted to do a whole like mini album for this. Because he plays a character in the game called like who's a fictional musician called Chowderman, who's like a musician that was big in the '80s and is trying to make a comeback in the '90s.
Excuse me, I just looked up Hot Dad. It started auto playing.
And it's funny because then he also like plays in a bunch of the stock photos of the character and stuff. Which is
Oh,
really
that's
cool.
Yeah.
He actually made a whole music video that you can watch in like a really big crushed version of in the game.
That's
cool.
neat. I like that. What game did you say this was again?
Hypnospace Outlaw.
Hypnospace Outlaw. Okay. And is
I'm
it?
gonna have to check that out.
Yeah. Is it on like consoles or is it
yeah,
like
It might be PC
I
only.
believe no, it's on console.
Oh, is it?
I think it plays better on PC just because the idea is you're simulating like being on a PC.
Right,
You can
right.
play with the mouse and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's on the Game Pass or something because right now I'm broke. So I'm like
Yeah.
I can't buy
It's
new.
all,
I feel that.
it's all, I mean, when it goes up, maybe grab it when it goes on sale because it'll be cheap then, like $5.
That's it.
That's what it was. I got it for that on. Well, I got it on the spring sale with a bundled with a spin-off called Slayer's X.
Mm.
Which that's another game I want to talk about.
Cool.
That other soundtrack I really like. That's inspired by like a lot of '90s, I guess. Like, I'm not sure if I'd say indie rock. I don't know enough about the scene, music
Yeah.
scene at the time.
Like grunge or
Kind of like
alternative.
grunge, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Like
I love that type of like Nirvana, Soundgarden,
Yeah.
Pearl Jam,
It's
Alice in
like-
Chains.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slater's X it was called. So what's that game about?
Slayer's X. It's a little
Slayer's X?
yeah.
Okay.
Slayer. Well, the full name is Slayer's X. Terminal Aftermath. Terminal Aftermath. Vengeance of the Slayer. Yes, Vengeance, because it's purposely misspelled. Because I told you it's a spin-off of Hypnospace. That's because in Hypnospace there's a character called Zane who's just like an edgy 1990s 15-year-old
Mhm.
who has this crappy webcomic he calls Slayer's X. And the premise of Slayer's X is that it's basically a game made by Zane.
Mhm. That's cool.
Nice.
Here's a question for you guys. This is like definitely a little off topic from what you were just talking about, but what game do you think, in your obviously your opinion, has the best soundtrack
Like of all time?
of all time?
Ooh.
Okay.
That's a
I-
hard question.
Because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, obviously it might be a Nintendo game because
That's
like
That's a hard question because it's like different soundtracks are trying to accomplish different things.
that's true.
Yeah.
No, that is
Yeah.
really true. But like one that just always comes to mind, and we'll bring it up all the time. But like I think it might be Super Mario Galaxy for me, honestly.
So good.
Like just I feel like every world you land on, you're like, oh, it just has like a certain type of feel to it with this music, like
Yeah.
it's just it really enhances it. And I just love the what's it called? The even just the music when you're like at the observatory, like the
Oh my god.
it's just so
That's
peaceful, like
Yeah.
nostalgic, like
yeah. No, it absolutely
it's
nostalgic. Every time I hear it, I'm like, I just want to play again.
Yeah.
Like
And it
honestly,
just like perfectly fits that game.
Yeah.
Adds to the atmosphere so much.
it does. And honestly, talking about it now, like I'm
What
thinking,
about-
I didn't know. I'm gonna go
Replaying
back and
it,
play
the scene that plays when you're reading the storybook.
oh yeah.
Yeah, like that will always make you sad when you remember the whole.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. No, that I'm like trying to think because like there were so many good like fun worlds in that game, and like
Yeah.
just like I just remember like each soundtrack to each world, like it really just made it more fun, more lively. Yeah, I do love that game.
Metroid Prime has a really good soundtrack. Like all of those, all the
Mhm.
bits there. When you're exploring the magma level,
Hmm.
Yeah.
so just like sort of fast-paced, oppressive song that fits because it's all really tight, like tight, cramped spaces where, there's lava, a lot of things that can burn you. Enemies are in a lot more tight, packed area.
Yeah.
Or when you go to the snow area, feel like Metroid fans are gonna rip me apart, even though I've played through Metroid Prime twice, and I can't remember all the areas off the top of my head, like the name. But
Yeah.
the ice level's got this much more calmer, like isolated feeling because even when there are enemies, you feel like you're much more alone out there. Like,
Yeah.
because it's always quieter when you're in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what my favorite would be, but one that comes to mind for me is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Ooh.
I feel like that game has such a good soundtrack because it really like captures that Western feeling, but with a modern touch to it too. Because there are some like modern songs in it.
Right.
Yeah, like when you get into Mexico, it's why am my memory so bad today?
My memory is terrible.
That's
So,
something when you get to Mexico though.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, but you probably look it up.
I can't think of it. Only because I think it's
So far away.
Yeah, so far away.
So
That
so
dude, that song like it almost makes you want to like tear up when it comes
I
on.
mean, confession, I actually died right when I entered Mexico. I think I fell into the river, so the game just canceled out that scene for me. So
Yeah.
I just had to watch it on YouTube to get the feeling. But
Yeah.
I got a similar feeling when you're in Red Dead Redemption 2, when you get back from South America when it's playing Unshaken.
Yes.
When Arthur Morgan's riding back to the crew. That was a really cool moment for me.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you get to hear the song play again when you guys have all beaten the game, right?
No.
Red Dead 2, yeah.
You could spoil it.
It's when Arthur dies, like looking at the sunset,
Yeah,
they play
yeah.
that song again, Unshaken.
Yeah.
Sort of
And I actually went back after I beat that game. I listened to that song like a lot, like for the past like for like a couple months after I beat the game, just because I was like, that's a really good song.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I also like the song that plays when I think John Marston is going up the mountain to finally confront Micah.
ooh, yeah, like in the epilogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a whole that epilogue was cool. That was just like a whole it was almost like they wanted to make a DLC expansion, but then they just put it in the main game.
No, I love that they did that because it just fit that game, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I like games that have an epilogue, to be honest, rather than adding on like a DLC or like making it a whole separate game.
It was a decent chunk of content too, like
It was at least a couple hours.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I still never I never got really so into Red Dead 2. I always wanted to, but for some reason I don't know what it is. I think
it's one thing is that every action needs an animation. Like
yeah.
I really like the poker mini game in Red Dead Redemption 1 more than 2 because in 2, like they have to show an animation for them dealing the deck for
Yeah.
checking, and it's like we don't need to see every little bit, just like streamlining.
Well, yeah, they really did focus on like the realism aspect of Red Dead 2, which I liked, but I understand why a lot of people don't like because it definitely slows down the pace quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it is super cool. Like when you see things, you're like, wow, there's so much attention to detail there.
Yeah.
That's why Rockstar games take so long. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine how many notes people are going to make about GTA 6 when that comes out.
Oh,
Speaking of GTA, that's also got a lot of great soundtrack.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were just talking about it before we started this
the
episode.
radio.
Yeah.
And it's actually so funny. I was at the bar last night and I hear the one song, it's called Lady. Lady, hear me tonight.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes me want to do a heist right now. I was like, but yeah, like no, the radio like in that music or in that game just hits. Like my go-to what were you guys go-to radio stations in that game?
The Kenny Loggins one, I think.
Kenny Loggins.
Yes.
Yeah,
like
Kenny Loggins was just a radio host.
Yeah.
I remember like I'm just like having great memories of this one car chase I was in where it was like I was going through the whole map and it was playing Heaven Helps a Man by Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
It's like Heaven. I'm gonna stop before we get taken off YouTube now. That's just such a fun song for me. Like that's just like a memory that's been drilled in my head.
Yeah.
You've been GTA 5, you guys.
Yeah. I've beaten it like 4 times.
The song they play at the end, the ending song is a setup after you finally kill everyone.
That's a really good song.
It's a great song to play after like one of the most cathartic moments in the game. Just killing this one jerk prick who's been causing you so many problems throughout the whole screwing you up.
There's like the sunset and it's
I think my go-to radio station was either Nonstop Pop or
nice.
Or I think it was called the Channel X.
Channel X, yeah.
Yeah.
I like listened to the stations like based on which character I was playing. If I was playing as Trevor, Channel X all the way. Because that's like such a Trevor station.
Yeah. I like that idea. Yeah.
Actually, I love the radio system in general. It's not just the songs, but you have like actual DJs and then
Yeah.
commercials in between,
Yeah.
like Weasel News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Weasel News. Yeah.
Weasel News confirming your bias.
There's so much satire on the radio on
Yeah.
GTA.
It's
great.
hilarious.
I love the one guy's like, you see, I'm telling you I'm gonna screw you over, so you know I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I saw a rumor that Theo Vaughn was going to be one of the DJs in GTA 6,
I saw that too.
and I thought like that would be perfect for GTA.
Literally just like put like his podcast like on it.
Yeah,
like,
just
and-
put his podcast on.
Yeah.
And
A funny thing in GTA is, do you remember Laszlo from GTA 5?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
of course.
That's an actual guy playing himself.
Really?
actually-
That's like
Yeah, like he's playing this horrible, slimy scumbag version of himself.
yeah, but I'm sure he like overdoes it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
But here's the thing, though. He's the only actor / he's both the only actor and only character who's been in every GTA game.
Really?
GTA
Even like the first two?
Yeah, GTA 5 is just the only one he actually showed up physically, but he's a radio host in all the other games.
Wow, that's crazy because GTA dates back to what, 2000 or when's
I think
when's
a
the
little
first
earlier than that. I think
earlier?
like
Yeah,
90s.
because GTA 1 probably came out in
It
the
was like
90s.
7, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
GTA 1 was.
he was in it.
That was on PS1. Yeah. Yeah.
That was long before.
I never played the first two because I was like,
Yeah,
I don't really like the
most
top-down
people-
style.
Most people just play GTA 3 onward.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
That's how I
That
was.
makes sense. I mean,
Um,
yeah, because
So, what's your favorite GTA radio station? Like or not radio station, or what's your favorite GTA game radio? If that makes sense. Like
I
Vice
mean,
City,
He played
San
GTA
Andreas, 5.
to a significant
Okay.
extent.
yeah, that's like
I'll say 5, and that's the one I played the most.
5 is my favorite because I played it the most, but I also played a lot of GTA Vice City,
Mm.
and the radio stations on Vice City are
Really?
really good. And that game takes place in the 80s, so like it was like a bunch of 80s songs
That's
which
cool.
really added to it. Yeah.
Oh, you know what other game series has a great radio?
What?
that?
Fallout.
Fallout, yeah.
does,
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
the whole like classical like kind of like jazz music that they had in there.
Or Fallout New Vegas, where they play a lot of
Yeah.
Western music, like
Yeah, yeah,
Big
yeah.
Iron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You-
I only really ever played a lot of New Vegas and Fallout 4. I haven't really
I'd
played
say-
much of the other games.
Fallout 4, I think, has a lot of the music from Fallout 3.
Yeah.
I played mainly 3 in New Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of getting back into it because like I'm just like I said, like I'm always looking for like new games because like
Yeah.
I'll pick one up and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm not feeling it. And I was looking at Fallout, what was it, 4 the other day,
Mhm.
thinking of picking that up because I'm like I want a story game, but usually my problem with like free roam story games is like there's so much to do. And like my ADHD brain, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do the side mission. Wait, I'm actually gonna do the
That's-
story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna loot this area for so long.
That's my trouble with Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, yeah.
Like I came across, I've met the witch. What's the witch's name? Rainy.
Oh,
Mhm.
right, yeah,
Rainy.
yeah.
You know, she's got a side quest. I tried doing that.
Yeah.
I went underground, couldn't figure out how to continue it. Went back above ground, and eventually found my way to Volcano Manor. Oh, now I'm doing a Volcano Manor sub quest. Now I'm stuck on this.
Yeah. That's why I like linear games sometimes because like
Yeah,
with open world games, I get so sidetracked because I'm like I want to do every side mission. I want to like I'm one of those people who I like to like 100% games.
Yeah.
So I get so sidetracked in open world
Yeah.
games. So I like Uncharted and like The Last of Us just for the fact that like you're on a set line. It's
Yeah.
linear.
I like Bloodborne because that's a bit of a linear game, but there's also
Yeah.
there's also a lot of room to still explore the areas.
yeah,
Mhm.
no.
Oh, BioShock is kind of linear.
Yeah.
BioShock is one I would
I-
recommend if you
yeah.
haven't played it.
I know. I played all. I
That's a
played,
good
all,
soundtrack.
I played all 3 Bioshocks.
Yeah, same. They're super cool games.
Yeah.
I want to go back and replay them though because I didn't give them like enough time. I feel like those are some games I kind of rushed through.
Yeah, I like the second game the best, which I know is like a not as popular take because everyone always says it's the first game.
I like the first game.
Public opinion, I think on the third game that's declined a lot in the past couple of years.
I only
Yeah.
played Infinite.
Well, I actually I never finished third game.
Yeah. I know the third game people will cite some story issues, like it does the classic the revolutionaries are kind of right, so they just have to make them try and murder a kid to make them bad. They're trying to do a both sides thing, but it's like this is a side fighting against a side that they're trying to villainize a black woman who's trying to take down a government that enslaves black people, which is like
It's kind of
Yeah.
messed up.
because they just
Yeah.
kind of throw in that she tries to kill a kid just to make her a bad guy too, which is like that's
Yeah. So going back to I mentioned Uncharted when I was talking about linear games. I feel like that soundtrack is really
I
good.
know the main theme
Yeah.
at least. I remember that being really fun.
Yeah.
I remember when the Uncharted movie came out.
Well, that used a lot of the same
They,
music.
yeah, they
Yeah,
used a lot of the same, and I was pretty happy about that. But overall, that movie was
the movie was mid, but
but no, but yeah, I was happy to see that.
It was just a really misguided casting choice.
Yeah,
yeah, we talked a bit about this in the
Yeah.
movie
the movie
adaptation.
adaptation
Yeah.
episode, but
Yeah,
it could have been a lot better, but it
Sure.
was okay. It was a fun watch.
Yeah,
Still,
yeah,
One game that I think a huge thing that made it was its soundtrack was a Jet Set Radio. I was telling you guys
Yeah.
yeah.
it was on the Dreamcast, a cell shaded game where you're a graffiti artist running around. You play as graffiti artists on rollerblades,
Mhm.
going around the city, tagging different areas. While the police force becomes like an active military trying to gun you down, stopping you from doing graffiti. Like they bring out SWAT teams, they have attack helicopters. You can bring down the attack helicopter by jumping in front of it and tagging the windshield of it, and then it just crashes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Funny. I
Yeah.
like that.
The insane police chief who like brings out his revolver trying to shoot you down.
Yeah.
You meet these other graffiti artists who were from a different crew in New York who are asking help from you because there's some government conspiracy going on where their buddy got kidnapped.
hmm No, that sounds super cool. I've never played it, but
There's like a spiritual successor that also just came out called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, where
Mhm.
the soundtrack is a bit different, but it's still also a very the soundtrack in Jet Set Radio is like this really funky techno kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It was done by Hideki Naganuma, who is a he does a lot of work with Sega and has a very distinct
Okay.
sound to him. I would recommend checking him out once we're done recording.
Japanese guy, I assume.
Yeah. Just look up the Jet Set Radio soundtrack. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I on my TikTok page, I always see this. It always comes across. Have you guys ever played like SSX, like the snowboarding game?
No, I don't think so.
So it's funny. I've never played it, but I've seen many gameplay of it.
Wait, was that on PS2? I'm sorry.
I believe so. I think it was on PS2.
I
And
played some snowboarding game on PS2. I forget what it was
I
though.
think I played some snowboarding game on N64 maybe.
it might have been. I think it was on PS2, and I want to say
I
GameCube.
might have played it then,
But
maybe.
I've never played it, but everyone praises it for like how good the soundtrack is. Like
Mhm.
it's kind of like I don't know, like EDM, like house kind of music,
Yeah.
and people try to like replicate that music. Like on Spotify, there's this person I've been listening to recently. There's I want to say their name's like Star Junk 95 or whatever, but they try and make that music, and it's really cool. It's like kind of like fast paced, like house or like EDM kind of music. But yeah, everyone gives like SSX like they're so much praise for their soundtrack. But, yeah.
That kind of reminds me of like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
those games
Mine
have
Destruction
really
Assault
cool
was so
soundtrack.
great.
Yeah.
Iconic, yeah.
No, but I think I did play that because it's like coming back to me. All I remember is playing a snowboarding game, and I feel like I remember the music being really cool.
No, it is really cool.
The Tony Hawk games, the soundtracks are all so great and all those.
Oh, absolutely.
All licensed music, but it's all just like hand-picked to perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it fit that skater
I think
subculture too.
I think a lot of skating games, like it's just a prerequisite that you need to have a really good soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Every skater I know listens to good music. So
Oh, You need
It's
good
like
music
culture that has great tastes.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Or anything else you guys wanted to touch up on?
Hmm.
I know it's kind of tricky talking about music because
Because we can't play any
you
music.
can't play any.
That's- I'm
but
trying to think of other good.
I think one really good thing that's really good soundtrack, in my opinion, is Arkham City.
Oh, yeah.
I love how it kind of fits to the larger scale of the game. Like,
Mhm.
Asylum, you were just limited to Arkham Asylum, but then Arkham City, you have this entire abandoned part of the city. It's been walled off as a giant prison.
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's so many good parts of the soundtrack that was not officially released, but luckily on YouTube, a lot of people posted like the unreleased parts of the
Oh,
soundtrack.
I'll have to check that out.
Did they say why they didn't release it?
I don't think they did. So I think they just picked and choose like 15 to 20 tracks for
Oh,
the
okay.
official release.
That's fair, but yeah, I wonder why they.
The early
Oh
Ratchet,
yeah, I'm finding some like some unreleased stuff on YouTube.
Mhm.
That's cool.
the early Ratchet and Clank games had really good soundtracks. The original composer, they got rid of him for the PS3 era, which I think is a mistake because he made these really sort of like techno space music kind of vibes. That
Groovy,
yeah, like that fit like all kinds of different planets where they all it came across like all in the same genre, but they all gave off different moods depending on where you were.
Mm.
Yeah. And I know this is unrelated to soundtracks, but something I kind of wanted to touch on was how pretty much every Call of Duty trailer has the same recipe when it comes to music. It's always like a classic
Eminem.
rock song where the beats match up with like gunshots
Yep.
and bombs.
No, that
It's
is
literally every Call of Duty
it
trailer.
is. Yeah, they play like like you said, like some rock song,
Yeah.
or like Eminem, or like some sort of rap music. But yeah, it is so funny because they always do.
Yeah.
They match up.
Which I mean, it's a good recipe, but it's just like
It's
gotta
cool,
mix it
but
up.
like it gets oversaturated. It's
Yeah.
like, like you know what this COD trailer is gonna look like. You know?
Mhm.
But it's funny. I was actually talking to my roommates the other day. I'm like, I don't miss COD at all.
I haven't played it since Cold War.
I've only ever
So,
played Modern
yeah.
Warfare, really. I've just never been into COD.
Yeah,
Well, Modern Warfare, you got to play.
yeah.
At least Modern Warfare 1 and 2.
I played
There's
Modern Warfare once when I was like 10. I just played out my brother's Xbox and he didn't know. And then I tried starting Black Ops. He saw me and yelled at my mom, and I think I told the story on the podcast before.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 Black Ops 1 and 2, in my opinion, both have really good story modes too, or like campaigns.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I especially love the first one. The first one was just so good.
Oh yeah.
Just like Vietnam and
Mhm.
everything, like it was so good.
That's what I miss about Call of Duty games is I feel like the campaigns are just completely overlooked now, you know?
It's all about the multiplayer. You
Dude,
gotta
yeah.
get
Yeah.
the skins. And
Yeah.
apparently they added Shredder to Call of Duty, which I don't get.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't even know the Ninja Turtles, they had the Shredder. Like,
I heard
That's in Warzone, right? Or I don't even know.
Dude, I think it was Call of Duty that added Shredder.
I heard
Well, Warzone is Call of Duty, but
yeah.
I thought Warzone was a different game.
No, it's Call
No.
of Duty.
uh,
But
well, it's kind of like a different game within Call of Duty, though. It's
it
like a
is.
different game.
No,
mode.
it's
It's like a battle royale mode.
Battle Royale.
Oh,
It's a whole game mode,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's COD. But yeah, the COD campaigns have been
They fell off. Like
terrible as of recently.
like Modern Warfare 2, I remember, and Modern Warfare 3 both had really well. Was it Modern Warfare 3 had that really controversial mission where you played
No
as
Russian?
no Russian.
Yeah, where you shoot down where you just
Yeah.
doing mass shooting on a
Yeah.
civilian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Say the least.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a crazy mission. Fun one, but
Oh, very fun.
but definitely you know, I'm surprised like they were able to put that out there.
Mhm.
And I feel like especially nowadays with how many, you know, school shootings and stuff like that we
They
see.
just wouldn't get it recently.
Oh, no
there's
way,
no
yeah.
way, yeah. But yeah. No, but like the campaigns have sucked recently. Like I know like the latest Modern Warfare 3, not the one we were just talking about,
Yeah.
the latest one. I heard the campaign was literally just like it was basically the Warzone map,
hmm
and you're just doing like missions within it. And there's not real
That sounds
there's like
terrible.
there's like somewhat of a story to it, but like it's not like linear missions, like
Yeah.
it's kind of free roam, and it's just weird. But like they're just using the Warzone map,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how lazy can you get? Like,
Yeah, well, I remember when Black Ops 4 came out, I was so disappointed because the first two Black Ops games had really good stories, and the third one was okay. It wasn't great. But Black Ops 4 came out, and it was like basically no story. Like there was
yeah,
some type of like, I think it was some type of co-op like mode, but there was really no
there
story
was no
behind it.
story, yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
bad.
remember when they went to space.
Advanced Warfare?
Yeah.
In Warfare.
No,
Or,
that was
oh, Infinite, yeah.
I think Infinite Warfare was actually at the time the most disliked video on YouTube.
Yeah, and it was the most like dislike gaming.
Yeah.
So I was
Fair enough.
really into Call of Duty around when that game came out, but I remember I remember trying to play the campaign, and I was like, this is terrible. And then I played maybe an hour of the multiplayer, and I gave up that game completely.
Yeah.
Was Advanced Warfare any good? Because that was like in the future, but not
I honestly, a lot of people hated on Advanced Warfare, but I honestly really liked it.
I also did too. I just thought the whole exosuits were really cool.
Yeah, and honestly, the story in Advanced Warfare was pretty good. It had
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey in it.
and the zombies were actually
I mean, he's a good actor, but
Yeah, I shouldn't be promoting him. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's canceled.
either wait for him to be in jail or pirate it.
Hmm.
But that was before all that stuff came out.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, good story nonetheless.
Yeah, that also had a good zombies mode too.
Yeah, it
The,
did.
the zombies were fun.
And a lot of people hated the exosuits, but I thought it was fun.
It was cool. It was like
Yeah.
it made COD even more fast paced than it already is.
Yeah. Black Ops 3 and then improved upon that too. I feel like
Yeah, I thought their exosuits were way better than
yeah, and
advanced were.
and you could do the wall runs and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, it was cool.
And it's funny. I talk to my one roommate about it all the time, like how much we really took Black Ops 3 for granted. I feel
Yeah.
like because I remember when it came out, like people were like, "Oh, I don't want another exosuit game," like I want
Yeah.
back boots on the ground and stuff like that, which I ended up doing with the following COD. But
Yeah.
I remember when it came out, like people were like half and half on it. They were like, "Oh, like it's fun," but then they're like, "Oh, like I kind of want the old COD back."
Yeah.
And looking back at it, I was on the side of I want the old COD back.
Same.
'Cause-
Now I changed my mind
But
though.
now I'm like, I want the exosuits.
I heard when
Yeah,
they
the
did
gameplay
COD
was fun.
WW2, that game was kind of mediocre.
I never played that one actually. But I heard the same thing.
That game was fine.
It was fine. Yeah, I also played it.
Did you guys ever play the Doom reboot?
I played
Which
yeah.
the
2016.
2016,
Yeah.
I did not.
I
You played
played
it?
it.
I played Boom.
And it's actually funny going back to like the whole soundtracks and everything.
Mhm.
I will actually listen to Doom soundtrack when I'm working out.
I've heard the Doom soundtrack's really good.
Yeah.
It's like a sick guitar line.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
literally just like a hardcore, just like metal guitar. Great work to work out to. I'm telling you, like
No, I love listening to metal while working out. So
Yeah.
that's
I mean, the
Probably
Doom
do-
guy,
yeah.
Doom Slayer is just like one of the coolest, just coolest characters who exist to be cool. Like,
yeah,
he's just the guy the monster for the monsters.
literally that's
Did
essentially.
the original game have a good soundtrack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guitar line, that was originally like a 16.
Oh, so they
like-
added that into the newer reboot then?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was like a modern rendition. That wasn't
Oh, yeah.
all bit crunched from being 16-bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, cool.
I thought it was like brand new and all that stuff. I didn't realize.
I think they came up with another thought, the new music. Like, I think the only thing they fear is you was new to that game, to the reboot.
Oh, okay.
Another game that I thought had a good soundtrack were the God of War games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I never really played any. I only played the third one briefly, but I never actually.
Third one might be my favorite God of War game,
Really?
actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked the reboot, but it kind of strayed away from what God of War is.
The third game is like the one that really promises on it delivers on the promise of killing gods, like to a
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
extent.
Mhm.
The first game, you only have like 3 bosses and only one of them's a god. The second game, you fight a couple Greek heroes, which is cool, but then you only actually fight Zeus at the very end. But then the
Right.
third game, you're fighting you're fighting Hades, you're fighting Heracles, you're
Mhm.
fighting Zeus again.
Hmm.
I don't think you fight Hephaestus, but you do kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, badass game and great
I
soundtrack.
don't know if they changed it in Ragnarok, but I remember the God of War reboot on PS4. I felt like not enough boss fights.
No,
Me-
well, that was a much more story-based game
Yeah.
than the original 3, and it was cool. It kind of I feel like it took a lot of inspiration from The Last of Us, how it was like that father-son
Yeah,
relationship.
I mean, that's just like what a lot of games now do with a parent and their adoptive kid, parent and their kid.
Yeah,
And the parent is like a rough, grizzled old guy who's
Yeah.
seen it all.
yeah. Once The Last of Us came out in 2013, every game was like, all right, we're copying that.
Yeah.
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 I mean, you know what? It deserves to be copied. It is one of the greatest games of all time,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
And I've never been a big Xbox player.
mm,
But Halo,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I remember having really cool music, like going up to my buddy's place and playing Halo with him.
Especially like in like certain missions, like when you're like going into battle, just like hearing the music, like
Yeah.
it's like the best way I can describe it is like epic, I guess you
Yeah,
could say.
very
Like, it's
epic.
like very
I played a
epic
bit of
music.
Halo 1 and I like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially like just like the big wars against like the like all the aliens and stuff like that. It's just it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys play the Assassin's Creed games?
I played Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. I think a bit of 3.
I think the music in those games were pretty good.
I played all of them except for the most recent one. The music and the action.
I played up until Black Flag, and then I didn't play anything after that.
That's how I was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Black Flag I think was the last really good
Yeah.
Yeah,
Assassin's
'cause
Creed.
I feel like with the Assassin's Creed, well, like it's always been like kind of like an RPG game, but
Mhm.
I feel like they really altered the way it is like as an RPG game. So like back then it was like a very like it's just like oh, like when you got to this part in the mission, like you get this upgrade, or like if you get this part in the story, you get this item or whatever. Now I feel like they have like all these like armor pieces you get to
Mhm.
collect and stuff like that, which I'm not
Yeah.
really. It's a lot, and I'm not a fan of it. Like it reminds me of like games like like Destiny, like where like you have
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
yeah, like almost stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm just like I don't know. It's just I feel like it takes away from
I feel like they're just not as
The ori-
fun.
Yeah,
Like,
man, I liked Origins, which kind of just the more RPG stuff, and then the
Yeah.
ones after that just overjit.
yeah, no, I heard Origins was all right. I
Yeah.
never played
The
it.
Yakuza games have a lot of RPG elements. I think they also have a lot of good music in them,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
both in like combat, and then there's also a karaoke mini game where they write like these sort of like pop songs or
That's funny.
rock
Yeah.
songs. Like you can play this like really. Do you guys remember that meme that went around for a while where people did fakes of a guy, people going dana dana?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
from Yakuza. That's like became a running gag in those games. Where it's like
Oh,
they have
okay.
that in every game.
Yeah.
They do the exact same animation where they're doing the drink,
Okay.
and then it's like they look at some silly photo of what they're lamenting over.
I didn't know that song came from the Yakuza games.
It did, yeah.
I had
That's
no
cool.
idea where that came from, but that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played them.
Well, I mean, we were talking about Fallout earlier, and that's a big RPG game
Yeah.
with great
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of RPGs are kind of overlooked for their soundtracks, but a lot of them do have good soundtracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yakuza, like the songs that play in combat are really good.
Yeah.
Yakuza Kiwami 1, like that's a really good final boss fight, and I think a huge part of it was that it was a really good music they played for the final boss because it's this confrontation between two guys who are basically brothers.
hmm
And one of the brother, and the guy who's basically your sworn brother has gone down this darker path when you were gone in prison. And it's like neither of you really want to fight, but this is where you are. He thinks he's too far gone, so he's just gonna go through it anyway.
hmm
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about The Last of Us, in The Last of Us Part 2, there's actually like a guitar playing mini game,
Yeah.
which
okay, I've seen
is
that.
super cool.
Um,
Yeah, just playing guitar as Ellie is just like super neat.
I've seen people really like try like
No, I've
so
seen
hard.
really
Like people
cool-
like
yeah.
will actually like play full-on songs. And I don't know how they do it because it's like
It's really difficult.
yeah, like it's like you have to like navigate
Yeah.
like almost like through a mini menu to like
Yeah.
change the
I've
chord.
seen videos of like the remake of Majora's Mask, The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, yeah.
People will like do these songs where they just say they do a bunch of recordings on the different instruments you can play with
Yeah.
different masks on to just play actual songs
That's cool.
like because I guess you can also change the tune or notes if you move the circle pad while you're pressing the button.
Yeah.
So it's like someone would do Majora's Mask playing Feel Good Inc.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But it's impressive like how people
It is
actually
very impressive.
learn how to, do
Learn how to play real songs
Yeah.
within a game. It's
and
Another game that has great soundtrack, the
Yeah.
Devil May Cry series.
I never
Mm.
played it.
Those were sort of a rival to the God of War series because they're another PS2 series where you're fighting like monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they play these more rock and roll kind of soundtracks. But Devil May Cry 5 was really cool because there's like a style meter, the better you're doing in combat, the higher it goes.
Yeah.
And in Devil May Cry 5, what they do is they'll play different parts of the song where it sort of like gets more intense.
Mhm.
So they'll change it to a different, more intense verse as your score gets higher.
Oh,
So the
nice.
best part of the song will play if you get to like an S rank combo.
That's super cool. I mean, I never played those games, but I've watched some gameplay of them. And I did notice that with the music. Super
And
cool.
it's like a really cool way of like how you can adjust to music in video games. Like that's a
Yeah.
really cool way to adapt that.
Yeah.
Instead of just changing to the environment or whatever.
I feel like a lot of combat focused games have good music.
Metal Gear Rising, that's another really great one.
Ooh, yeah.
Have you guys played it?
That's the one where it's like in the future, like
Yeah,
futuristic.
It's a spin-off of Metal Gear Solid where you follow Raiden after he became a
Yeah.
cyborg.
Yeah, I played it briefly. I never finished it.
Yeah, no, I never played it, but I've watched it.
But the first boss fight has this really great moment where you're listening to the song called Rules of Nature, where they're just sort of saying the first couple bits of the lyrics. But then you get to this quick time event where you pick up this giant robot. It was like this giant robot called Metal Gear Ray. It was like the penultimate boss of Metal Gear Solid 2, which is where you played as Raiden for the first time.
Yeah.
Like you have to fight a bunch of these guys, and it's just a huge challenge. And now it's the first boss of the next game he plays in. And it's like now he's lifting the scene up, throwing it in the air, and then you slice it while the lyrics say the name of the song. Rules of Nature.
Yeah.
Slice it in half, throw it across the city. It's like now you're this way stronger guy.
Yeah.
And what used to be like the biggest challenge of a game is now like just what you kill in the beginning.
Right.
Yep.
And it's such a cool moment of escalation that shows you this is going to be very different from the previous Metal Gear games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that.
I think all the Metal Gear games had a decent soundtrack though.
Yeah, I think especially the fifth one because the fifth one had like a lot of like 70s, 80s, like
I used to love like
classic songs.
Yep.
sometimes if I went into a flip base and I decided to do less sneaky and more just shooty, I would play something funny like Kids of America or Man.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Funny song to be played while you're just going around on a
It's like-
shooting spree.
Yeah.
My go-to was like because usually when I play games like Metal Gear, like I always like to do like a stealth approach.
Yes.
And I would always play what was it New Order by or is it Blue Monday by New Order?
Mm-hmm.
I would always play that song like when I'm like
That's a good one.
sneaking into
Yeah.
a base or whatever. So good.
Metal Gear Solid 3, that's the main theme of that game was really good, Snake Eater.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like a Bond song that they play. Like they even do a whole like James Bond style credit sequence for the beginning of the game where they play that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it plays again when you're fighting the final boss who is, the boss.
hmm
And it's just like this really good song, like just talking about like her perspective of everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's talking to Big Boss, who at the time is Naked Snake. And
Right.
I don't know, Metal Gear character names are confusing.
I'm still
They really are.
Because
I'm
there's the
still
boss,
so
and then her
confused.
successor, Naked Snake, who
Mhm.
becomes Big Boss, and then he trains Solid Snake, who everyone calls Snake.
Yeah. It's
I
very confusing.
I never understood the different snakes. I never did.
Okay, so there's Big Boss, who was also previously given the code name Naked Snake.
Okay.
Big Boss was like the best soldier ever, and then they cloned him, and then the clone is Solid Snake, who you play as in Metal Gear Solids 1 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also another clone, Liquid Snake.
Right.
And then there's a third clone, Solidus Snake, who's the main villain of Metal Gear Solid 2. Do you follow?
So, I'm following, but
We're gonna have to watch
it-
some explanation videos.
Big Boss Snake is the original Snake,
Mhm.
and all the other snakes are cloned from him.
Okay.
Well, aren't
Yeah.
all the games like out of timeline order?
Yeah.
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 The first game, also there's two PC like 8-bit games, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2.
Mm-hmm.
But most people started with Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah.
Then there's Metal Gear Solid 2, which is a direct sequel. Then there's Metal Gear Solid 3, which is a prequel about Big Boss, who you only ever saw in Metal Gear 1 and 2, but he was talked about a lot in Metal Gear Solids 1 and 2.
Hmm.
And so you actually get to play as Big Boss and learn about his backstory.
Mhm.
Then they made a PSP game called Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which is a sequel to
I
Metal Gear.
forgot about that
And
one.
that's a sequel to Metal Gear Solid 3. I never beat Peace Walker, but I know the story.
Yeah.
Then there's Metal Gear Solid 4, which goes back into the present, where you're playing as Snake, who's much older.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's finally Metal Gear Solid 5, which is another prequel, which is basically like the third in what you could call the Big Boss trilogy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. No.
Such a complex story behind Metal
It
Gear.
is.
Oh my
It's
God.
it doesn't help that they're all out of place. Like
Yeah.
like yeah, it's definitely confusing. But I remember I think I was trying to watch like a 2-hour long video just like explaining the entire Metal Gear series and like
Yeah.
I only watched like a little bit of it, but
It's so
but
complicated.
it's so complicated and in depth. Like I'm just like that's fine. I don't need to know.
Only someone like Hideo Kojima can come up with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then the third one, the third one's one game a remake.
Yeah, that's gonna
Yeah.
remake.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know when that's like slated for?
Apparently, it's supposed to come out this year.
Oh, wow.
Really? Wow, I didn't know it was out.
That's cool.
I
I
knew it
don't
was coming
know too
out.
much about the remake because I'm not sure if it's just gonna be the whole game again, but on a modern engine. I thought when they were gonna remake it would be like rebuild the maps, like kind of newer maps, like follow something like the Resident Evil remakes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be something more akin to that, but I'm a little disappointed to find out that
It's just gonna be like a 1-for-1, but
Yeah.
with modern engine,
the
better graphics.
quality of life improvements.
But
Which
big concerns the fact that Kojima's not involved in the remake.
yeah, no, he has
Right.
bad blood with Konami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Konami, they made him cut Metal Gear Solid 5 short, so he didn't actually get to finish telling the story that's supposed to be the end of the story.
That really sucks.
And he was making a new Silent Hill game, which he was working with Guillermo del Toro, and that would
Yeah.
have been really awesome, but then they canned him.
Mhm.
I don't think we'll ever really know what happened between the two.
No.
They never officially said anything
No,
about
they
what
never.
happened.
Yeah. But hey, he's off on his own now, and he's
Yeah.
very successful. So.
Yeah, I mean, he made Death Stranding.
Working with Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that game.
I know. I just want to see like another trail. Like
I want to see real gameplay.
Yeah.
yeah, me
I
too.
want to know what the actual game is.
Yeah.
I I just like Jordan Peele, so like I have faith in it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, he's told some great stories, horror stories specifically, and like then you got the mastermind of Hideo Kojima.
yeah.
And they both also have really funny senses of humor when they want to.
Yeah,
They do,
they do.
yeah.
So combining the two, like I can't imagine how great.
They're gonna cook something.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
I think a documentary on Kojima just came out
Oh,
a few months ago on Hulu. It was about like the making of Death Stranding.
Oh,
cool.
what?
I'll have to check that
I'll
out.
definitely have to look into that.
I mean, I'll be honest, Death Stranding was one of his games that I wasn't a huge fan of.
Yeah,
But I think that's just because my attention span has shortened
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
me too.
TikTok ruined me.
Yeah,
But
TikTok, yeah. But
yeah,
well,
I'll have to check that out though, because I respect Death Stranding as a game.
Yeah,
It's just like something I couldn't get into. Maybe I have to revisit it.
that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
It seems like it's like now that I have a better idea of what it wants to be, I could probably meet it on its own terms.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk?
I think we.
I was never good at Guitar Hero.
You're never.
Me too. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I sucked at Guitar Hero.
I was good for a while, and then I just recently got back into it because my roommate got gifted a Guitar Hero. It was like a Wii guitar or whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't have Guitar Hero for the Wii, but he does have a PC, and I was like, download Clone Hero. So
Mhm.
we've been playing Clone Hero, which is awesome because you can download whatever song you want
Yeah.
as long as there's charts for it.
Yeah.
And I've been getting back into it, but like I cannot play like I used to. Like
Mhm.
I have to either play on medium or hard. Like I used to be able to like consistently play on expert.
Yeah.
I just can't. It's so hard. And my roommate right now, he's trying to. You guys know like the classic Through the Fire and Flames.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
He's been trying to do it like 100% it on hard, and he's like at like 98%. Like he's getting so close. But
I could never
I
get that
just
good.
love watching him because
Yeah.
it's so entertaining. Because the entire song, you're literally just going back and
Yeah.
forth.
I
No,
think
Guitar-
people. I think people play like Rock Band or Guitar Hero on
Yeah.
expert, and I have no clue how people manage
Yeah.
to do that.
No, yeah,
They're difficult games to be
They
honest,
are.
especially on expert mode.
I was never able to get past medium.
Same, yeah. But yeah, that's something I would like to revisit, like with my friends or something, playing Guitar Hero or Rock Band. Rock Band was a lot of fun
would
too,
say-
because he had the whole drum set.
I would say if you have a PC, definitely look into Clone Hero because
Yeah,
you could just get whatever song you want. Like
I feel like
literally.
you could make it a good drinking game too.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. No, for sure. But yeah, no, and for a while, like me and my roommates, we were like, what if we like fully invested in like, a rock band set? Because that could be fun. Like, just night like where like you're just drinking with your
Oh my
friends.
god.
Yeah,
But I never realized how expensive the whole set is.
very
whole-
expensive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sad I got rid of the drum set for Rock Band.
Yeah,
My brother didn't have Rock Band, but he had Guitar Hero World Tour, which had the same kind of set.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. But like you have to buy the game, and if you're buying like the most recent Rock Band, it's still like 60, $70.
Mhm.
Then you got to get the drum set, which is a few hundred, a guitar,
Yeah.
100, and a mic, which I think is close to 100, if not 100. Like it's like 500, 600.
Wait,
bucks.
Leia, let's
Yeah.
see the full
I
set.
see one that says $850.
Yeah, it's nuts.
For which game? Rock Band 4?
Yeah, Rock Band 4.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
it's,
gotta be like third-party controllers someone makes.
I'm sure.
Okay,
some-
here's a
some
used
song-
one for $410. Used one for $625.
yeah,
Okay.
it's expensive.
Holy crap, unopened. $1,600.
There's no way.
Yeah,
eBay?
on eBay. Brand new unopened Rock Band 4, banned in a box.
Well, does that come with
Uh,
like a PS?
Yeah, it comes with it.
Because maybe it comes. With
Oh,
the
maybe it
PS4.
does come.
Because if that's the case, then that I kind of understand, but even still, I'm like, that's still.
But, all those
I don't think it comes with the PS4. It's just a full set for $1,600.
Man.
all those
It's brand new.
all those old games and accessories that aren't in print anymore. People will pay a high price for them.
Yeah. No, I wish I still had our stuff. We used to have the full set for the Xbox 360. We had the first Rock Band that came out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what. I think my parents got rid of them.
Yeah, no, same here.
big
Yeah, we
deal.
had it for Wii. I think it was Rock Band 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But
I remember Lego Dimensions, the Toy Life.
I remember that. I never played it though.
But well, it's discontinued many years ago. Just getting the Star Kit is like $100-something, and that's not even counting like all the other kits that you can get for it. And they made a lot of them.
Yeah. I remember even playing like you guys ever play like the hunting games, like the Big Game Hunter and stuff like that?
I
Literally
big-
got
I
arcades.
had a big
So I
one.
had it for PS3, and I remember it would come with like a little plastic gun or
Mhm.
whatever. But you needed like the PS3 like sensor too
Oh,
to play it.
Yeah.
And those things now are really expensive if you look it up, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Does anyone remember like the PlayStation Move? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only had interest in that
Yes,
because I had a PlayStation Move Heroes, which is the crossover between Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, and Jack and Daxter.
Hmm.
This big three PS2 mascots.
Yeah.
That game was kind of doo-doo though.
I never played it. I always kind of wanted it because I thought it seemed really cool with all the
Yeah,
main mascots.
Hmm.
but the gameplay, I think that was all just to try and sell a gimmick game.
Mm.
How much is the Big Game Hunt?
Let's see, Cabela's.
I had a plug-and-play thing of a big Buck Hunter Pro.
Okay, these aren't nearly as expensive as I thought. It's like $60 for the set. Okay, that's not
Yeah,
bad.
okay. It's
Um,
purple.
No.
But yeah, it's still cool concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about this episode?
I think
That's
it.
I think we covered a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching episode 8
Blisters.
of Palm Blisters. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below, follow us on TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah, have a good one.
just,